what I'm going to do today is I had a young woman in our ward that reached out and said, Sister Bluth, we're going to the temple. Look, her tree's been picked over by her siblings for 10 years now. They've picking all the people, and she really wants to bring some family members with her to the temple. So she asked me to pre-search. So I'm going to use her tree to go through and demonstrate how you would do it for somebody else. Puzzilla is the website that we use. It's puzzilla.org. This is what's called a, and I don't have my little red clicker, but you'll see right here it says Family Search Certified. That means they have an agreement with Family Search, and it's safe to allow it access to your tree, basically. If it weren't, I wouldn't tell you about the website. So, Family Search Certified. I'm going to show you the video. I'm only going to show you about the first 3 minutes. Puzzilla has two parts. It has the free basic services, and then it has what it's called premium services. I've never used these. When it first came out, only the free stuff was available, so I didn't know about the fancy stuff, and I've gotten along fine without it. So it's a free website for anybody, members or non-members, to use. We have some non-members that use it to search for cousins to do DNA research in their genealogy. So I strictly use it to look for a hole in somebody's tree. Once you find that hole, and I'm going to show you this, once you find the hole, then it's just a matter of going back to Family Search or Ancestry or Find a Grave and finding those people that fit in that hole. Any questions so far? Anybody so confused they don't know how to form a question? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna show you the video, and I want you to watch that. And I'm gonna stop it after about 3 minutes once they launch into the premium services. I'm going to stop the video.
Hello, this is Bill. This video shows how to use Puzzilla.org to find new research targets on descendant lines, our cousins. To sign in, click the Sign In button. Submit your family search credentials to sign in to Family Tree.
So when you sign in, it's going to pop up a Family Search sign-in screen. It extracts the
This is a
data from
Puzzilla
your tree.
pedigree chart, your ancestor view. You are at the root of the tree. The blue squares represent males in your pedigree, and the red circles represent females. As you move your mouse cursor over these symbols, their names and other information appears. This tree appears to be full. So where do you start? When ancestral lines appear complete, the next place to work is in the other descendants of our ancestors, our cousins. Start by selecting one of these distant ancestors and click on the symbol. We'll select Nathan Warner. Clicking on the symbol freezes the pop-up so that you can click on the buttons inside. Clicking the X closes the pop-up and returns to browsing mode. But for now, we'll click here to see Nathan Warner's descendants.
This is where it gets awesome. Now it's three-dimensional.
These are the descendants of Nathan Warner. Let me show you what this means. Here we see Nathan Warner at the root of the tree. Surrounding him are his children, grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. The golden line is your ancestral line between you and the ancestor at the root of the tree. A research target is a person in the tree who might have missing family members you can find. In a descendant view, we see people without children here,
See how they have no lines
and some
extending
here,
out? That means they're yet to be
and a
found,
whole
or
family
they didn't
here.
have any.
Did these people not have any children, or are their children missing from the tree? To see the people who are missing requires imagination. Let's take a look at William Warner. This view helps us visualize them. We don't know who they are yet, but they're there. Our job is to find them and to link them. So one research target criteria is any person without children, or especially several in a family like here. These almost certainly have missing children. We see patterns like that here, and here, and here, many in a descent chart like this. There are other criteria for a good research target. These persons with the yellow squares died before they reached age 16. They wouldn't have children, so we won't look there. Others with the gray square are persons who were born in the last 110 years, in this case 1904. These require permission from the nearest living relatives to do work for them. We avoid these also to keep it simple. Puzzilla provides these two buttons in the control panel that allow us to turn these criteria off and on. Other button.
All right, now he goes into different paid things. Like that next button says targets. It puts a red dot on anybody that doesn't have children, like lines extending. Well, we all can see where the lines aren't extending. It just goes into different things. So if you want to use that, you can come to the Family History Center. The paid version is free here. And you can access it here for free. But again, I've never used it. I find it more confusing. So that is the video, and I encourage you to watch it again, maybe at home. It's 3 minutes and 38 seconds of just reminding you of the basics. But I am going to show you now. Brother McLean, would you turn that back on? So I'm going to show you how I use it when I work with someone else. I have this girl that I'm working, this young woman I'm working for, I have her Family Search username, and I have her helper ID / the last 5 digits of her membership number. If you're working with somebody to clarify, Brother Rawson had a question the other night, is it the same? And it is for, I guess, people that, I've seen young kids that it's not the same, but for this girl it is the same. The last 5 digits are helper ID. But if you're working with someone that's never logged on to Family Search, they're going to have a hard time finding their helper ID. It's in their setting panel, and sometimes they don't know their login and all that. So if there's some confusion there, just ask for the last 5 digits, and when you meet with them in person, you can show them where their helper number is.
So last week you said it was the last few digits of their
5 of their membership number.
Of their
The last
membership
5 of their membership
But then
number.
you just said helper ID.
It's the same thing
It
in
is the
Family
same.
Search, but
Okay.
if you're working with somebody brand new to this,
Or non-member.
or a non-member, they're gonna be like, what's the helper ID?
Okay, so the real default is helper ID. That's
If they know how to get into Family Search and tell you what it is.
Okay.
If you're working with a member, the easiest thing is to ask for that last 5 digits,
Okay.
because it's on the back of their recommend.
got it.
All right, so I'm going to go to Puzzilla.org. I'm going to sign in. Now, here's the thing. I can't sign in to Puzzilla with somebody's helper ID. So I'm going to sign in for myself. And you would sign in with your credentials. And Puzzilla is going to say, is it okay if we use your email to contact you? Yeah, that's fine. I am going to pull this off to the side and let it work its little magic. So I need to get on Kylie Watson's tree. That's who I'm pre-searching. So I'm going to go to Family Search, and I'm going to log in with her credentials. I have to, again, log in with my information because I just have her helper ID. So both websites I've logged in with my information. As soon as I get on the Family Search, I'm going to go right here where it says Help Others. There's a little life preserver. Click in. I'm going to put her username. I'm going to put the last 5 of her membership or / her helper ID. So now, you see, I'm still logged under me, but now it says you are helping Kylie Jewel Watson. So I am logged in for her. When I go to her family tree, because now it's all about her, it has her living people. I can see everything on her tree. Here she is, here's her dad, here's her grandpa. I'm going to pick a deceased relative whose line I can research on Puzzilla. I can't put in a living person from her tree. But her grandpa, I notice right here, has passed away, and just for the fun. It's her last name. You know, people kind of like to, if you can trace their last name. So I'm going to go and I'm going to take, you see his little membership code or his little ID right here? This little, it's hard to grab. I'm going to copy that. So I found the nearest to her deceased relative. If that were Smith or Jones, I wouldn't touch it. But Watson, I can work with that. It's unique enough. I copied his little code. Now back on Puzzilla, do you see this little box? Change ID. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to drop that code in. I want to see the ancestors of this person, not mine. And so I want to see view ancestors. And so now her grandpa is right here, James Walter Watson Jr. And now I can see all of his line. Now, on mine I can see both sides, my paternal, my maternal, that's great. When you're helping somebody else, you get to see one branch at a time. But believe me, in a full tree, there's still a lot of people to pick from. So, I am going to, this is what you want to scroll around for, because when you use this, when you scroll over somebody, it gives you their little pop-up information. And remember, it's extracting it from Family Search. So it gives you their little summary, dates, locations, their name. Anybody remember the 4, and if I had a treat, I'd offer it to you. Does anybody remember the 4 clues or cues you're looking for when you're picking somebody to research? Male.
Goofy names.
Unique name.
In the early 1800s?
Early 1800s. Are we going to Russia?
No.
English speaking, United States if you can, but somewhere where you are fluent in the language. And it's better if you can have somebody on the East Coast or in the South, because they kind of persecuted the Mormons. They weren't really joining in the droves. Still today over there, you don't have loads of members who are working on this. So if you can find somebody back on the East Coast or in the South, you're going to usually have some success. So John Watson, not the most unique name. Here's Mulkey Watson. I went for him first, but I tell you, I worked on him and I couldn't find anything. So moving on. But I would have definitely picked him. Here's one. Dabney Harrison Crank, born in 1809. So male, unique name, early 1800s, and he's in Virginia, and he moved to Missouri. Lots of members, people joining the church in Missouri in the early 1800s? No, I think they were driving them out. So, I have found somebody that meets all of my criteria. Unique, male, early 1800s, East Coast, Southern area. So, I like him. I like him a lot. So now I want to see his descendants. So I'm going off of her one-dimensional, straight bloodline pedigree, and it's going to pull me 4 generations of his descendants. You can change how many generations it pulls, but typically if you're in the early 1800s, if you pull 6, it's just going to bog your computer down trying to pull all those people in, and you're just going to run into people that have been born in the last 110 years. So their defaults, they set them there for a reason. They're pretty good. All right. What do you notice about his children? These are his children. He's got a son, a daughter, a son. Here's a son, Dabney A. Here's a daughter, Sarah. Here's a son, Reuben. That's unique. I like that. I may come back to him. Here's his daughter, Elizabeth America Crank. They were patriotic. Notice this is where Kylie's direct line is. There's lots of stuff here. Okay? They're pretty well taken care of. I've researched them. But you notice with this son, whose name is Reuben, that's unique. I can trace that. He's got 4 daughters and only one has children, it's saying. Do you think maybe out of these 3 girls, somebody got married and had kids? Okay. Yes, since I pre-searched this before coming. All right, so that's what you want to identify. Here's Mary Hester Crank. Says she was born in 1888. She died in 1911. So she did die at like 23 years old. But I'm going to look at her. So once I click on her, it's not popping up everybody's information. You see that? If I click off, it goes right back to what they call browsing mode, where everybody I click over is popping up like that. But once I click on her, my first kind of go-to place is, I love findagrave.com, because you tend to, not always, by any means, but typically if you have a spouse, a lot of times they're buried right next to that person. So, first of all, I want to go to her in family tree. See this button right here? So now that I've found somebody I think I want to research, and I think there's missing people for her, I'm going to go out and look for them. If you click here, she's missing a spouse and children. So I'm going to go to findagrave.com, because that's my fan fave. Now, if she got married, would her last name be Crank on her headstone?
No.
Probably not, but I want to show you a nice little trick. And again, research is all about if the information's there and how lucky you can get. I'm going to put in her name. I'm not going to put Hester, because I don't know if it's carved on her headstone or not. Remember, they paid per letter, and the more letters, the bigger the stone, so it got expensive. I'm going to click this little box right here that says include maiden names in my search. I'm hoping, because her maiden name's Crank, that there's not going to be a whole lot of people like that. I'm not going to put in dates or places or anything like that. It comes back with 114 matches, so I do need to narrow it down. So I'm going to refine my last search. I know she died in 1911. If there is a date on the headstone, it's most likely to be the death date. So that's what I'm going to put in, even though I have both. So now I'm looking for a Mary Crank. Look at that. Mary Hester Crank's husband and that baby. That is one of the most special sealings you will ever participate in. And when you help people find this and put this in, they're going to come back and say, I have to know how you did that. And that's the experience you want to have somebody the first time. I'm not going to enter this today because I'm meeting with Kylie later today during my Sunday school class, and I'm going to help her put this in, and I'm going to help her piece together these facts so that she realizes what happened in this family's life. You think that's going to be significant to her Wednesday night when she goes to the temple and does baptisms? Yeah. Do you think Mary Crank Musser will attend Wednesday night when her husband gets his baptism done by one of the young men? You bet. You think this will be significant for Brother and Sister Watson when they seal that baby? Look at the change you make for the people here and the people on the other side. All right, so Mary Hester, that's the rest of her story. And that's the end. I'm not looking for more kids. She passed away after she had that first baby. So, but remember, she had a couple of sisters. So there's Mary Hester. Florence Martha. She, I'll just tell you real quick on her. She did marry. She married late. She had no children that I can find on any records whatsoever. But she did marry, and so I would, on the 1940 census, I'll take Kylie to that and show her that she had a husband on the 1940 census. So that, again, and you think, well, they didn't have any kids. Yeah, but she gets those covenants that are essential to salvation, which are the covenants we make as we're sealed. And then they had another sister named Maud May. I love, they had unique names, made them fun to search. Maud, I'm going to look for her on Find a Grave. Again, I don't know her married name. Well, I'll show you real quick. I'm going to go to her in Family Tree. You know it's slow on Sunday because all the moments are on. All right, so when I click this little button, Family, it scrolls down to the bottom. She has no husband, no children listed, but she lived to be 88 years old. I'm thinking, come on, somebody, there was some love in the life there somewhere. I always feel like maybe there's that chance. So I'm going to put in Maud Crank. Again, when you're using what you think is going to be the maiden name, you want to click that little box that says include maiden names in my searches. I'm going to put her death year as 1972. And there she is, Maud May Crank Caswell. Do we have a husband? Yes. Maud was one of my grandmother's sisters, a very tiny, petite woman, always impeccably dressed. One child, Cecile Cooper, from her first marriage to Edward Cooper. Now, we wouldn't have known about that immediately because she died as a Caswell. Maud was born and raised in Trotter Township, Carroll County, Missouri. There's her headstone. Here's the link to her second husband, William Caswell.
What was your search string? Because it's Caswell. Did you just do Klein?
But I checked, look for maiden names. And whoever put her in, if you notice on her name,
They had Frank in there?
yeah, and I don't know if you can see it from there, but this is in italics.
Okay, all right.
Anytime you see something on Family Search in italics, it indicates that's the woman's maiden name, which is what we want when we're doing Family Search.
All right.
So I put in
Sorry.
Maud May Crank, or I put Maud Crank, died in 1972, include maiden name. So now I know to do what? I know to put in William Caswell as a husband. I can seal them. Somebody who is her niece, like great niece, has put this information in. I know I should be looking for a husband, Edward Cooper, and a daughter, Cecile Cooper. And I have the little research here for Kylie, and I'm going to show her exactly how to find that and put that in. But look how easy. Look at those people we just found. We found 3 husbands, 4 husbands, because one was married twice, 2 children, and then the baby boy we found, he passed away obviously, but if Cecile Cooper lived to grow up and have children, it's just going to keep coming. And again, that's the beauty of going to the early 1800s. You find a generation in 1820, you're going to find their children in about 1845, and their grandkids in about 1890. So you can come down another 2 generations. The real reason we go to the early 1800s is the 1800s is rich with documents, census records, birth records, death records, things like that. Any questions?
That didn't take long enough. I mean, that took...
It didn't take 50 hours, I can tell you that. You know,
I'm being facetious.
this hastens the work. This makes it easy to go into a tree. And again, the first attempt I made was on that guy on Kylie's line, Mulkey Watson. Done, 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 done. Everywhere around him was full done. So I moved on. When you keep hitting brick walls, move on. Look for a place like this. And this is another indicator that it's not totally researched. Somebody did 1 daughter in that family. They loved 3. Odds are they didn't all 3 die young without marrying. So that's just a place that hasn't been tapped into that much yet. So again, to recap, I had to log into my tree on Family Search and sign in as a helper for Kylie. I had to find an ancestor that I wanted to put their line and research for holes in their line. I copied their little ID. I logged in for myself on Puzzilla. And as it started churning out my people, I clicked on this button right up here at the top, Change ID. I popped in that code from her grandpa that had Dabney Harrison Crank, the very unique name, and I said View Ancestors. Or, I'm sorry, her grandpa Watson. And then I looked in this tree. Here's another one. He's got a unique name in Horan, but he's in Ireland. Ireland, I will tell you, is very hard. The records are just, I don't know, that's Brother Spears' curse. Because he's got all those Irish people.
Right. We won't even talk about it.
John Henry, even if he were in Louisiana, I would find him hard to research because his name is so common. Here's another, Charles Sabacool, Pennsylvania to Kentucky. I'd be all over that one if I were looking for another hole. When she calls me 6 months from now, she's going to the temple again, I'm going to Charles Sabacool. Very unique name. Started in the east, ended up in the south. I can work with that.
I know I've taught some South
Jill,
Yes.
are you finding a lot of success with Find a Grave, or
Oh, yes.
I
But
haven't
it's hit and
used that
miss.
much because
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you a couple tricks on Find a Grave. You have to. Well, and here's the trick. We used to Ancestry and Family Search being intuitive. We put in Maud Henry, and it pulls up Maud, May, Mary, Henry, Henry, Henri. You know, it pulls up the close matches. Find a Grave does not. It has to match what's on the headstone or be less. So where I knew her name was Maud May, I just put in Maud. I didn't get greedy. I didn't put in her birth and death, because if it's not in there, you know, I didn't put Missouri, because what if she didn't die in Missouri? Or what if somebody was buried in California, but they moved them to Missouri where the family plot was? So I put in the minimum. When I get too much back, I narrow it down. The reason Crank is not on her headstone, but someone, this great niece of these ladies, is going back and putting this information in, and she added the maiden name. Whoever she is, she's not a member of the church, I know that. But whoever she is, she's enabled all this work to be done by going in and doing that. And she's driven to do it, and I can tell you she doesn't know what drives her to do it, but it's the spirit of Elijah. And because of that, we're able to find them. But if you would have put in Maud May Caswell, it would have said, sorry, no results found. If you would have put in Maud Caswell, this girl would have popped up. If you would have put in Maud May Caswell, May 1885, it would have said, sorry, no results. It doesn't give you close matches. So that's the trick, is put in less, and if you get back 120 results, narrow it down. I'll show you how to do that.
Is it really common that the maiden name is researched and added to Find a Grave?
It is, because people that really work on this a lot love it, and they do it with a passion. And a lot of people, to them, they don't know about Family Search and they don't know about temple work, and so this is their place to leave a memorial to their ancestors.
How much Find a Grave work has been done throughout the United States?
There are 154 million records on here, is what it tells you when it signs in. Now that's for all countries, but it's mainly the U.S. Let's put in her husband, what we know about him, William Caswell. So it gives me 301 total matches. Okay? So definitely don't want to go through 301 of them. So let's do what we know. So I'm going to click on Refine Last Search. And I know he died in, or he was buried in Missouri because he was buried next to his wife. But let's say I don't even know that. Let's just say they were all from Missouri, they never left. I know that about the family. So now I'm refining it to say just pull up the William Caswells that are buried in Missouri. Now I'm down to 4. Now I can look at his dates and figure it out. You know, it's not going to be the guy born in 1924. His wife was in the 1800s. Here's an 1878. Here's an 1853. So I would just narrow it down and until I found which one matched my guy. But don't put everything you know into Find. That's next week's class, by the way, Find a Grave, because it's so awesome. But don't put everything you know, Brother Rawson. You have to start broad and narrow down. It's not intuitive. It won't give you close matches. If you put, let me give you one that gives you no matches so you see what that looks like. I'm going to put William Caswell, born in 1801. I'm totally just making this up. Died in 2009. This is what it means. This is when you get no matches. Very tiny at the top it says, sorry, there are no records in the Find a Grave database that match your query. All of this is paid sites advertised, and they're trying to get you to click on. No, they're not trying to get you to click on it. That's how they run a free website. They let people advertise. And so, don't click on that. I always know when my mom has clicked on that because she calls me and says, I don't know how I got on this website. I'm like, Mom, are you on Find a Grave? Yeah, that's where I started. I'm like, okay, back out. So, that one little sentence at the top is your clue. But when you see a screen that looks like that, you got nada. You got nothing. So go back. I never give up, though. I keep going back, and I'll put in Will Caswell or W. Caswell or W.J. Caswell. I just keep trying to match that headstone because, boy, if you can hit it, and you find one, you get lucky and you find one that has bio information and links to the other family members, it's awesome. So, any questions about Puzzilla and how to use that in helping other people?
Well, on my situation, I've got an open spot,
Okay,
but all my names are common.
okay,
I only have one name and last name that's not, it's common, but it's different spelling.
okay.
But I don't,
You want to start with the one that meets the other criteria the best. That go by location. You know, look for East Coast or Southern state. Look for early 1800s. Narrow it down by as best you can to the one you're gonna have the best success with. And in that case, you start with one, and you keep hacking away. Start with the one that has the wife with an uncommon name.
that's
You
what,
know,
well.
better Cecilia than Mary.
It's, well, it's like Elizabeth Nichols. It's one of my grandmothers. That's all I have. Then I've got everything from her, I can't find her father or mother's back.
Okay.
She died in 1888, so.
Have you tried Find a Grave?
Yes.
Okay. All I can tell you is you just got to keep hacking away, and sometimes it's just a matter of time before records are indexed. We have Brother Mark Conniff that does our IT in here, keeps our computers clean, and his dad went to his grave looking for his grandpa and never could find any information, and coincidentally, 2 days after he volunteered to do our computers here and keep them clean for us, I asked one of our consultants here, hey, could you research this a little bit? And he's like, oh yeah, here it is, like 5 minutes later. And that death certificate for that guy had been indexed recently, and Brother Conniff like immediately left work and came and just his mind was blown. So there are blessings that come to you as you help other people in this work. You develop a very strong sense that the veil is thin and that they do assist us in this work. They are aware that it's their time. The promise is given to us when we do this work. After Kylie Watson puts that in and she becomes their ticket to the temple, those people will watch over her, they will guard her, and they will protect her physically and spiritually. Because it's crucial to them that she get to the temple. And then after that, they will do that same thing for her out of gratitude for what she has done to done for them. When we read in the Old Testament, the prophet saying, you know, it's not exact quote, fear not, there are more with us than there are against us. That's who's with us. And the more of them that we enable to have their ordinances and progress, the greater things will be for us here. I bear you testimony, Puzzilla is one of the greatest tools I've ever used. It's like riding a bike though. You just got to get on and play around with it. You can probably text me a question, like Sister Bluth, how did you put in somebody else's grandpa's thing? And I'll remind you, click on change ID, put in their code, things like that. But you have to get on and play on it. I could talk to you about riding a bike, but you got to get on, fall off a couple of times, let somebody run alongside you for a little bit, and then you're off and running. The only thing I've ever used to learn Puzzilla was that 3-minute video, and just the desperate desire to be able to dig into a tree without it taking 50 hours. So if you want to stay around and play on it, I'll stay for a little bit, answer any questions you have. But thank you for coming. Bless you for coming. You guys are awesome.